Hello and welcome to another episode of the World Class Real Estate Podcast. My name is Martell and I'm joined by Mr. Sam Hunter today. How are you, mate?
Good morning, Mark. Hello, listeners. Very well, thank you. Thank you for your patience, and hopefully, no Australian real estate from agents from Brisbane listen to this because Mark was just listening into a negotiation.
Well, it takes us on to today's topic, and today is going to be a real quick fire episode because of various circumstances that we won't get into. But you were negotiating with a real estate agent, and before that conversation, actually, was thinking that you could probably add some value from now being on the buy side for the length of time that you had. And I want to talk about how estate agents negotiate, not on their own fees, but for their clients and how they negotiate best possible offer and some of the common mistakes that potentially you see. So what has life been like on the buy side negotiating with real estate agents, Sam?
Um, if real estate agents did half their job, I wouldn't have a job. Actually, that's like one of the throwaway lines that we use in a listing presentation to like win a client was it's like we should be out of a job. There should be no need for us to do what we do. Because when you deal with a really good agent, like it's not that we're not adding any value, but they hold their ground, they get a good price, they run a really good process, they communicate really effectively. Like that guy on the phone there was pretty good. But I had to ask him, when am I going to hear from you? I had to set expectations. I was like, when, let's do this, do that, text me because my kid's in hospital, whatever it might be, right? So, yeah, I guess it's disappointing a lot of the time because you don't have open lines of communication. Like we say to our clients all the time, most agents will play a silly game of whoever talks next loses. And we try and leave them with an action. So if we make an offer on a property, it's like, it's with you now. Our clients are on hand to sign as soon as you get that to them. What does as soon as look like to you? Is it in the next 10 minutes? Is it the next hour? He said he'd do it now. So I've just told my clients they can expect it in an hour. Now is, knowing that guy reasonably well, it'll be before 5 o'clock. It's now 3:45. Yeah, so what are the mistakes agents make? I think the opposite of world-class real estate. They don't communicate enough. They don't set expectations well enough. They leave a lot of people hanging, which in itself is a tactic. I get it. But I think when I was selling houses, I used to say to people all the time, like, regardless of whether they've given me an answer about your offer, I'll call you at 6 o'clock. And I'll just let you know that I haven't heard anything. Because that made it a hell of a lot easier to ask for more money when I had heard something, right? Because I was building rapport, I was building trust, I was showing them that I was ideally as open of a line of communication as was possible, rather than leaving it high and dry till the next morning. They're already frustrated, they haven't slept, they probably don't like me very much. And then I call them up and go, man, I need 50 more grand.
Yeah, and it's really interesting that you say that because I didn't expect that response, to be perfectly honest. And, I did listen into some of those sort of expectation settings that you made, making yourself available and what have you. And I didn't really think that when we were going to talk about negotiating, you were going to talk about, I thought maybe we might talk about tactics or what have you. But actually what you're talking about here is being really very clear with all parties on when they can expect to hear from you and setting yourself up to over deliver rather than. So actually what we're talking about really is the negotiating experience rather than negotiating tactics specifically. And that's probably an area where a lot of agents fall down.
I would wager, and I think that I'm very bullish on the experience is part of the negotiation. So if you can we used to talk on the show all the time about micro promises, right? So if you can keep a commitment to someone and just ring them back when you say you're going to ring them back, that builds a level of how this guy works. He does what he says he's going to do, right? So that if and then you have to have a conversation with somebody about more money or better terms or no chain or whatever it might be, right? Everything is negotiable well beyond the price. It means that they might listen. And if they listen, there's every chance they may agree. And that's what negotiation is, right? It's finding agreement. It's not splitting the difference, as Chris Voss would say, but it is coming to an agreement.
Yeah.
And experience plays a massive part in that, I think.
Yeah, and I always remember going on one of Perry's training courses, and it was a bit of an eye opener for me because I always thought the negotiation was always about the price, but
Mm.
actually, when you talk about it like that, and you talk about expectation and experience and reaching an agreement, there are numerous things that you can negotiate on as part of the process. In addition to the price, that actually might be more important to your clients. It goes right back to knowing what is important to your clients when you're on the sales side. And instinctively, everyone will say more money, but you might have a client who wants to move abroad and needs to be done in 60 days.
Mate,
That's
no, our viewers won't see this, but this is so Chase is at a pre-settlement inspection. So we settle on this unit tomorrow. Our client is a member of the armed services. He's just moved to Brisbane and wanted to buy a property up here, had no time, used us. The people moving out of the property are in the armed services because it's near the army base.
yeah.
Um, they're moving to New Zealand. They're being relocated. They wanted their price. We ended up buying for we argued over price for maybe 3 or 4 days. And we ended up getting for 10 grand less than what they said they were going to sell it for. But we asked for the fridge, the washing machine, the bar fridge, the couch, and the table to be included, everything except the beds, basically.
Yeah.
And they were like, why would we give you all this stuff for cheaper than what we want? And we were just like, because we're making your life easy. You're moving your clothes out of the house. That's the reality. And yeah, we are the only party you're negotiating with. This is what we are. And we were prepared to pay it, at the end of the day, I think, because he really liked the apartment. But we held our ground. We were going to hold our ground till Friday. The open home was on Saturday. We ended up signing the deal Thursday morning, which was good. But it is that. It's like we knew where they were going. We knew how painful it is to have people come around your house and like disassemble furniture and take it away, or worse, try and sell it yourself. So it was like, how do we solve all of their problems and give them, a solution to move? And we ended up being able to, at least in our client's mind, which is good, save him 10 grand. But we increased our offer by 20 grand from our initial offer. So, they had a win. It was fair. We had a win.
And then obviously you'll negotiate on the timescales there. But that's a really good example, actually, of those other things that you can consider when negotiating. I don't think there's very many agents that like to get involved in the UK in negotiating on fixtures and fittings. It's just
Imagine you're sitting there and you're selling a house in England and the property's 350 grand and you get an offer of 295. Right? I don't think that would be uncommon of a scenario. People want to feel like it's cheeky. Cheeky probably is a high 2 rather than a low 3. And you come back to them and and they want 350, and you can just say to them, hey, it's like our counter offer is 350, but we'll have a contract pack prepared and be ready to exchange in 4 weeks. Or it's, that's our counter offer. Is like our asking price is our asking price. We all feel it's very fair. It's educated. We're able to justify it by this sale and this sale and this sale. And to help you understand that you're not going to be dragging your heels for 9 months, we're prepared to exchange in 5 weeks. Now, you can't tell me that's more attractive of like, geez, it's over for us in 5 weeks. All we've got to do is pay asking price.
Yeah.
Right. First, same thing from the buyer side. If you're a buyer, you just be like, hey, we'll indemnify some of the searches and we'll exchange in 4 weeks if it's 310, not 350, whatever it is, because the seller might want to move quickly because they found something else or whatever it might be. So price is very much the last thing, as long as you understand the circumstances of which you're negotiating that price around.
Yeah, and I think that goes back to knowing your client. From agents on the sell side, I think we probably have to work harder on knowing how important price is versus timescales or what they want to take. Or
for your sellers,
for my sellers, I think most clients would say, what's the most important thing to your price? Price is massively important, but quite often people will come onto the market because they found their dream home, and that is more important than price. So getting your dream home, if you're putting your house on the market specifically for it, is probably going to be more important than the price. The price has to make it work, and then it's the changeover price. So what can they get that property at versus what they can sell theirs for? But actually, as long as we're finding out why clients are coming onto the market and being very open with them about the process. If they've been on the market for 6 months and their dream house is still on the market somehow, then you've got an opportunity to negotiate on all of that. And I think that probably most agents will just go to price first and foremost. And have you seen that on the buy side, that people will default to price, or because you operate slightly differently and you've got settlement terms and what have you? Do you see that actually there's always more to the negotiation in Australia than
No,
yeah.
not unless I think we make it about that.
Yeah. Okay.
So you were privy to the end of that conversation before you joined. We were having another chat there where we had indicated a price where we saw value and not a dollar above that, which is where we made the offer. But he was like, that'll at least get you in the conversation. I was like, we don't really want to be like used to make up the numbers. We're making this offer if it gets us the opportunity to buy it this evening.
Yeah.
And if that's not the case, that's all right, you know. And so he called his client, took some time to think about it, and came. So it really was just about price for them. It's an interesting. So it's a probate sale, deceased estate. Effectively, it's kind of like how quickly can you get the money so they can actually utilize that in their own lives, right? Pay off their own home loans and things. So, yeah, I would say more than 9 times out of 10, it is just about price. Like a real estate agent doesn't put on their Instagram sold for the best terms under the sun, right? They put sold for a record price or a street record or a suburb record, or some agents around here will do like record price for a 3-bed less than 600 square meters or whatever it might be. Terms are important, but I think price is a big motivator for a lot of people unless you understand those circumstances. I'll give you an example. There's a property on the market around the corner from me, and it's priced so well that it got Lissy and I thinking like, should we buy that? And then just like, you know, it's got the pool, it's got the 4th bedroom, it's half the land size that we have, which is why it's about the same price as our place if we were to sell ours. And I went to the open home and I was like, you feel like and it's asking offers over $1.27 million. It should sell for about 1.4. And I was like, pretty like cheeky asking price that you've got on there. Like, talk me through it. And he was like, this is the changeover price.
Yeah.
So they've got to sell it. And they need to sell it quickly. And it's going to best and finals today. They'll probably be unconditional by Friday. They'll move in 30 days. It was a very, very attractive asking price. And I think they'll probably end up, if it's not 1.4, it'll be very late 1.3s because the market finds itself always, right? But that is the power of a very good offers over price. And it's actually intelligent from the agent to be like, you've got to sell this. So we've got to go. The tactic that we want to get you the minimum amount of high stress is going to be, what is the number you need to sell this for to buy that house? And we're going to go offers above that and trust the market. And it's done well. He had 100 people through the house, me included. I couldn't even do a video for Instagram because there was just too many faces and I didn't want to put strangers on the internet.
I was watching one of your Instagram videos last night, actually. That was very, very, very authentic with your head popping over the laptop. But I want to just come back to something that you mentioned there very quickly because we are very short of time today. Apologies. But you talked there about the conversation that you had with the real estate agent on the deal that we were just talking about. And you said, we want to know if we can get a deal done tonight. So there was a time frame that you put on doing a deal. And I'm not sure I've ever done that from this side, but do you think that happens in Australia because of the auction, or do you think that's something that we could all learn from to go back to the earlier point of setting expectations and building to make a more successful negotiation?
I used to have this conversation with Gatesy all the time when we were at Home Search, and I was like, if I was starting a real estate agency in the UK, every single sale that I did would be offers over like £350,000, like, or best offers over 350 by 25th of February, 4 p.m.
Yeah.
And I would list it 3 weeks beforehand, no longer. 3 weeks is enough time for the desperate, best and aspirational buyers to go and see a property, right? I'd have one open home time per week just so that people would come through, but I would also have private inspections as and when. And if someone wanted to buy it on day one, I'd say that's fantastic. Offers are closing in a couple of weeks. We've got to give everybody the opportunity, unless you're going to give us an offer that's so far above market value that we stop it. Do you want to do that? And they say no. And then they understand the process, right? Yeah. So I would still put deadlines on everything. You don't have to sell it. You might get, if it's offers over 350, you might get 3 offers at 300. You might get no offers. Then you've got an opportunity to realign the price.
Yeah.
or negotiate with one of those offers to get to a point that does work for everybody and does find agreement. We don't put timeframes on our offers very often. I think it antagonizes the other party. So selling a house is a really big deal.
Yeah.
If you shove an offer down somebody's throat and say, I need a decision by 6 o'clock, the human reaction is to be like, fuck you.
Well, yeah, sorry, I didn't mean that. I meant because and there is a difference between setting an ultimatum on time. We need an answer today versus setting an expectation. Do we think this means that we can get a deal done tonight?
So more context that you don't know about that sale is it was under contract till yesterday and it fell over yesterday. So they want to do a deal quickly. And so it's like, yeah, I think, the way that we would operate, and a lot of agents I don't think they go down that time frame route. Timed sales are a really big thing here. So best offers by a certain date, an auction by a certain date, it works really well. Just the normal for sale is a really wimpy way of selling a house because you're not coming back to where we started this conversation. I know you got 3 minutes. You're not setting expectations. You're not communicating expectations well. Like the moment you put a property on the internet, you are negotiating, right? So there's mistake number 2 or 3. I don't know how many we've done, right? Is that people don't realize they're negotiating when it's on the internet. So you want to have your strongest hand when you go online. So that's great photos. That's great video. That's a great asking price. That's an offers by date, so that there is complete and utter transparency about where your expectations are and the market has the opportunity to react to that. Now, if they react positively, you get a great result in 3.5 weeks. If they react poorly, we haven't done damage to our campaign for any longer than necessary, and we can realign to give the market an opportunity to react a little bit better.
Yeah.
That's so much better than just, oh yeah, I'll get you 350. We'll put it on tomorrow. I've got my camera in the boot.
Yes. Yeah. Right, Sam, I am going to have to shoot off, but thank you very much for joining us at pretty short notice and given everything that is going on at the moment. As you know, we do this because we love our industry. We want to see it improve and get better. If you have enjoyed today's quickfire episode, please reach out on social. I'm Mark Worrell. He's Sam Hunter. Thank you very much for listening. We'll see you again next week.